Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram.
Hari Om and welcome to this special podcast on Bhagwan Shiva and Mahashivratri. This isn't simply an occasion to worship Shivji, but to realize his presence in our heart. And joining us today to discuss who is Shivji, what is the appropriate method of Shiva sadhana and worship, as well as what realization and progress can we expect on this path, we have Swami Swatmananda. Hari Om Swamiji, welcome to the podcast. Swamiji is a long-standing Acharya of Chinmaya Mission based here in Mumbai, and he is a great inspiration to youth everywhere, having served as the former director of All India Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, which is the youth wing of Chinmaya Mission. Swamiji's insights don't simply capture the essence of Shastra, but make them real in our lives in a practical way. So if you've tuned in, this is not a podcast to be missed. Swamiji, thank you so much for joining us. Hari Om and
Thank
welcome.
you, Om. Nice to have you for this podcast.
Swamiji, my first question to you is a question that all Hindus get asked, which is, in Hinduism, there are so many gods. And this isn't a question that we normally have an answer to because we are so used to the presence of multiple deities. But when asked this question, what is the appropriate answer?
So this question arises because one thinks that God is finite and God is a person. Whereas Sanatana Hindu Dharma says God is a state of consciousness. It is the infinite state of consciousness, the very source of the whole creation, and hence beyond space, beyond time, beyond objects, unborn, unchanging, imperishable. And Vedanta goes one step further to say that you are that essential reality, Tat Tvam Asi. So this infinite state of consciousness is God, and that infinity can only be one. So God in Sanatana Hindu Dharma is only one. And being nameless, formless, attributeless, it is difficult to connect to that divine because our mind thinks in terms of names and forms. And also being infinite, it has infinite abilities, it can appear in infinite forms. And so we say that not only you are infinite, but the entire universe is appearance of the divine. So every single form here is God's form. Having said that, there are specific forms in which this infinite reality manifests, which we call as Ishvara. And there are many such forms, which is why people have the question that why so many gods in Hinduism? There is Durga Devi, there is Shivji, there is Ganeshji, there is Kartikeya, there is Surya, there are so many. The reason is our mind requires a support system to make it single-pointed and quiet. And when the mind is made single-pointed and quiet, then it is able to realize its own nature as infinite consciousness. So the form helps me to realize that which is formless. And so these forms, which are manifestations of Bhagwan, devotees choose the forms based on what form they love. That becomes their Ishta Devata. We call it as MPG, my personal God. So infinite reality as though customizes itself to appear in the form, and the devotee chooses the particular form. Because when I have freedom, then there is love. Love cannot be forced. And if I have only one form, and there is only one form and I don't like that form, then where do I go? So there are multiple forms and I choose whichever form with the understanding that all are appearances of one infinite truth. And so when I choose that form, I worship that form, I realize the values, the ideals that Bhagavan manifests, in that particular form, ultimately Bhagwan leads me to realize the infinite consciousness itself. So forms are many, but the truth is one. And in fact, this question we don't ask for most of the other things. We have many types of music, many types of food, many types of clothes, entertainment, business, so many things. Everywhere there's diversity because the creation is diversity. But when it comes to God, we say, why are we having so many forms of God? I would go a step further to say that we should question those who don't have many forms. Those who have only one form, we should ask them, why do you have only one form? Because the human temperament is not one. There are thousands of temperaments. So how does a person identify if one particular form is not suiting me? Then what do I do? So they must have more diversity. I would say that the question should be to the others who don't have many forms, let them evolve. And in fact, if you go into the history, you will find Greek gods are so many, Roman gods are so many. So many of the ancient cultures, they have multiple forms. It is some of the Abrahamic faiths who have chosen to stick to one, and now people are questioning because of that, saying, why do you have many? We should actually be asking the other way. Why do you have only one?
Yeah.
Because where the whole creation is so much of diversity, you see.
And it's such a wonderful thought that is really unique to Bharat, that says that creation is diverse, and to reflect that diversity, we have multiple forms. But those forms, as you say, are to take us from the form to the formless. And obviously, one wonderful form that the divine has taken is the form of Bhagawan Shivji. So can you tell us a little bit about Shivji's form, especially this wonderful photo that we have of Bhagawan in meditation?
So Shivji is, the word Shiva literally means one who is auspicious, who is consciousness. And Shiva is the form of the Lord where he is in charge of destruction of the whole Srishti. In fact, if we see Shivji, he has 5 heads. Shivji is Panchamukhi. And 5 great functions Bhagavan does. We know Shivji as a destroyer only, but actually he does 5. They are called Panchakrityas. So Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana and Anugraha. These are 5 things that Bhagavan does. Creation, sustenance, destruction, concealment and grace. And so that is the beauty of Bhagavan Shiva, that when we see in Shiv Puran, the whole Srishti manifests from Shivji, stays in Shivji, goes back into Shivji. And yet, it is his Maya that he conceals himself, that is his 4th function. So people don't realize him, and through his grace alone, they come to realize oneness. And so Shivji is Ishvara. Shivji is the Guru Roop also. We say Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam. So the Guru Parampara flows from Shivji. Shivji is the source of yoga. Shivji is the source of dance. Shivji is the source of Sanskrit language. So he is everything. And Shivji is our true self. Our nature is Sat Chit Anand, and that is Shivji. So Shivji is form. Shivji is Shiva Tattva, which is formless.
Swamiji, this is such a wonderful answer. And every element of what you said can be a podcast in itself. You know, Shivji as the Lord of dance, Shivji as the root of yoga, as the source of Sanskritam. And one of the most accessible ways to see Shivji is as the Shivalingam, which is generally a very unique thing, not just to Sanatana Vedic Dharma, but to Shivji himself, that he has taken this form for his devotees. So can you tell us a little bit about the Shivalingam, please?
So Linga literally means a symbol or a sign. So if we say that our national flag is the Linga of our country. Suppose a married woman has a Mangal Sutra. So we say that is the Linga of being married. It's a sign or a symbol. That way, Shiva Linga is the symbol of Shiva. So when the devotee sees the Linga, the devotee will be reminded of Shivji. For the devotee, it is not a stone or a sphatic or whatever the material Shivlinga is made up of. And generally, Shivlinga will be elliptical. And that represents the beginningless and endless nature of the Shiva Tattva. It also represents the entire Srishti. So for the devotee, Shivalinga is not only Shiva Tattva, but that same Shiva Tattva pervades the whole Srishti. So for us, every single one here, every single being and thing is divine. It is Shivalinga. Each one is a Shivalinga in that sense. And so the devotee sees Shiva everywhere, inside, outside, everywhere. And when the devotee sees Shivalinga, to connect to the Supreme, the devotee also makes the mind quiet. Because the moment the devotee sees Shivalinga, all other agitations are gone and the mind thinks of Shiva. So the meaning of linga is Linam Gamayati iti lingaha. That which makes the mind completely silent is linga. And what can make the mind really silent is consciousness, the very source of the mind. The thoughts rise in consciousness, stay in consciousness, go back to consciousness. If our attention is on the thought, the mind is extroverted. But if our attention is on the source, the mind becomes silent. And hence, linga is consciousness. And which is why linga is also the word used for our subtle body. Linga Sharira it is called. Which means what? Presence of subtle body in the gross body is the indication or the symbol that there is life. The person is alive, the being is alive. If the Linga Sharira departs from the gross body, that is what we call as death. The separation of the subtle body from the gross body is what we call as death. And so at that point in time, we understand, what was making this body sentient, capable of responding, feeling, thinking, being dynamic, is that Shiva Tattva. And so we say that Shiva keeps the body alive. Without it, it is Shava. And so the Shivalinga for the devotee represents that. It is my life. And so Shivji, when one remembers, one is grateful that every single moment Shiva is enlivening this, and I am grateful. So that's why Shivji is worshipped as the Linga, Shivalinga.
Oh, what a wonderful thought. Lina Gamayati iti lingam. It's, I think it is really reflective not just of the depths to which our rishis went to understand creation itself, but to communicate it in a very accessible and practical way for everyone to understand and connect with. And Swamiji, on the subject of Shivalingam, we often see a dripping stream of water, or people offer milk and so on. What is the significance of this?
So many people think that, Shivji has the third eye on his forehead and, there's poison in his neck. And so Shivji's body is very hot. And so we should offer water so that Shivji becomes thanda. And so that's the thinking people have. But people forget that Shivji is having Gangaji in his jata. And he is the most peaceful and most blissful one. It is not that his body is heated and all that. But we offer Abhisheka to Shivji because it is said Alankara Priyo Vishnuhu, Arghya Priyo Suryaha, and Abhisheka Priya Shivaha. So Shivji likes Abhishek. And we do what Bhagawan loves. So Abhishek is offered. Why does Bhagawan love Abhishek? The simple fact is, when a stream of water is poured, continuously the water flows. Water is a symbol of purity. Water is a symbol of detachment. And water is a symbol of life itself. So when the Abhisheka is offered, it is a symbolic gesture to the mind that may your thoughts flow continuously towards the divine. And may you be anchored in purity and detachment. And so when we offer Abhishek, we are doing this, that how the water pervades the linga, like that my thoughts must pervade the divine. And may I have divine thoughts. And that's why a beautiful mantra from the Veda says, Tanme manaha Shiva sankalpamastu. May this mind of mine have auspicious, noble thoughts. And also thoughts connected to the divine, to make me understand that my nature is Shiva Tattva. So that Shiva who is inside me, external Abhisheka when I am offering, it is actually Abhisheka happening to the linga within. Atma Linga it is called. And a saint said a very beautiful thing, that if you remember this every day when you take bath, that Shivalinga is in you, you are Shiva, he is in your heart. Every mug of water you are pouring is an Abhisheka on you. Then every act of taking bath itself will become an Abhisheka. So that is one reason why we do Abhishek. Second reason why we do Abhishek also, like you said, milk, etc. is offered. So the Puranas, they give different significances of different dravyas that are offered. If milk is offered, one attains longevity. If honey is offered, one attains prosperity. Like that, the freedom from sickness. So milk, honey, curd, ghee, all those different items, 11 items will be offered to Bhagawan Shiva. That is also because we understand that whatever we have is a blessing from Bhagavan, and we offer it to Bhagavan. Those who have sakama desires, they will do this to get certain benefits. And also the fact is that when we offer Abhisheka, it is an act of gratitude, act of surrender, that whatever I have is Bhagwan's kripa only. And I offer it to Bhagwan and take that as prasad. Now, in some of the temples, when Abhishek is being offered continuously, the chanting will happen of the Rudram, various Vedic mantras. And so the entire energy there is very powerful. And every deity, whichever form we have, whether it is Shaligrama or Shivji's Linga is there, or Devi's Murti is there, whichever form, in every temple, there will be some or the other way Abhisheka will happen. Because literally it is to worship the Shiva Tattva, it is to worship consciousness. That the whole Murti will be pervaded by that, whatever Dravya is being offered. And interesting is this, that when a person takes sannyas, at that time also the Abhisheka of that person will be done. Because the tonsure of the head is done and the person does Viraja Homa, etc. And the person is made to understand that you are not this body anymore. You are infinite consciousness alone. And when the Abhishek is being done on that person, Purusha Suktam is chanted. That is a very powerful reminder when sannyas is taken, that you are no more this finite entity.
Yeah.
So Abhisheka is actually an act to make us realize that I am not finite, I am infinite. That's the main purpose why Abhisheka is done.
Swamiji, I am so grateful for your really profound answers, explaining things that we may have seen but had no understanding of. And this explanation of Abhishekam being performed at the point of sannyas and what it represents is truly elevating. And I think somewhere in my heart, I feel bad for asking a question that will bring the energy down. But our duty in conducting this podcast is to answer the questions that common Hindus or Hindus are commonly faced with. So one of these questions with regards to Abhishekam is, why are you wasting milk? Why are you wasting all of these dravyas? But of course, in previous discussions, we have spoken about how it represents a cycle of life and all of these materials go and replenish the earth again. I found that very beneficial in our discussions, some 15 years ago now. And I think the audience will also benefit from it. So if you can share a little bit about that.
So first of all, for the devotee, that is not a stone or a murti, Bhagwan is there. Whatever is being offered to Bhagwan. So it will never go for a waste. It is offered out of gratitude. Bhavana is very important. And secondly, what is being offered, the objective of offering is, what we offer is called Naivedya. Naivedya means to offer something to Bhagwan and propitiate Bhagwan. In Hindi, the word is Nivedan Karna. So you request. So when what is offered is called Naivedya to Bhagwan, and what is attained back is called as Prasad. So in the same way, when a Dravya is offered to Bhagwan, when it pervades the Shivalinga, it becomes a Prasad. So ideally it is collected and given to the devotees as Prasad. So it will never get wasted. And Prasad literally means what? That which will settle down the mind. Sad, Sidati means to sit. that which will completely quieten the mind is prasad. And what will quieten the mind? What has come from Bhagwan. That acceptance will quieten the mind. This bhavana of acceptance is what we have to cultivate. So whatever is offered in Abhishek, sometimes it will be flower, sometimes it will be dravya, sometimes it will be bhasma. Different things are offered to Shivji. Collected, given to the devotees as prasad. The devotee will never question why I got only bhasma or give me that panchamrit. It has come from Bhagwan, it is prasad, I accept it gratefully. So whatever is offered is not wasted. In fact, not only Abhishek, the entire alankar of Bhagwan, whatever is offered, flowers, bilvapatra, mala, chandan, kumkum, everything, there is a specific way by which it has to be removed. That is called nirmalya. And it cannot be just thrown in the dustbin. It will go, like you said, it will get replenished. So many of these things will go into the earth. They will be put below a tree. It will get recycled. If there is certain dravya which is used, like suppose we say haldi water, chandan water, kumkum water, all this, it will be offered into the bilva tree. And that bilva vriksha again will give the bilva leaves, which will again offer to Bhagwan. Again it will go back. So it will get recycled, no doubt. Ideally, nothing that is offered to Bhagwan can be just wasted. It is actually a dosha. We should not waste it at all. It has to be used appropriately. Either you give it as naivedya, as prasad, or you offer it into the earth or to some trees. It has to get recycled because it is all divine. In fact, if you go very deep into the science of bhakti and upasana, it will also be said that, suppose fruits, many times we offer fruits fully. If you see traditionally, they will say, no, you don't offer fruits fully because the chilka you have to remove, the seeds if you remove, all that you remove and then offer it. Because if you offer it fully, then you have to do something with that chilka and the seed and everything. You can't offer it just like that and then, discard it. So very traditional orthodox rituals will be such where they will cut all these and then they will offer. So that's why in Abhishek, whatever is offered is not at all wasted. It is offered to Bhagwan and Bhagwan receives it. It is not that it is only our belief. Mantras are invoked, deity manifests, deity receives, consumes. It is experience of so many bhaktas.
Yeah.
So that's why it will never be wasted. And if at all it is being wasted, then there is a dosha there and it has to be rectified.
Yeah. And I think, this answer of understanding that nothing is wasted, and to the extent that we are unable to consume it, it then goes back and replenishes the earth, is such a fitting capsule in which we can show how grounded our dharma is, how connected to the day-to-day as well as the transcendental our thinking has been. Now, Swamiji, I wanted to shift gears a little bit. You mentioned Bhagwan Shiv carries Ganga Ma in his jatas. He has a blue throat. And we have this beautiful image of Shivji here, and he is in meditation. There's, the serpent around his neck. Can you tell us a little bit about this manifestation of Bhagwan? What is the meaning behind all of these different alankaras that Bhagwan takes?
So this is the form of Bhagwan Shiva. Each, like Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda used to say, that Hindus are not idol worshippers, they are ideal worshippers. They worship the ideals behind the idol. And so every aspect of Bhagwan's form has a certain beautiful Vedantic significance. So Gangaji is the symbol of the service. Nishkam Seva is what we have to do to purify our mind. And she lives in the jata of Bhagwan Shiva. Gangaji also is a symbol of complete humility. Because at one point she had that bhav that, how will Shiva receive me? He is just a yogi and in my force I will wash him away. And Shivji traps Gangaji in his jata. And Gangaji gets humbled. So humility and service go together. If I am serving, I must be humble. And Gangaji serves millions of people. They derive their nurturing, nourishment from Gangaji. Gangaji also is symbol of Gyan. Gurudev always said, in fact, I remember when I was in my Chinmaya Yoga Kendra days, we performed a whole play called Jnana Ganga. And for Gurudev, Gangaji is a symbol of the flow of Brahma Vidya from the Guru, that is Shivji, to the Shishyas and the entire Guru Shishya Parampara, from Gomukh to Ganga Sagar. The flow of Gangaji is the flow of the Guru Shishya Parampara, how this Brahma Jnana has flowed and it has nurtured people's lives, and that's why our culture is called Sanatana Dharma. And in fact, Gurudev was inspired by Gangaji's flow to bring down this knowledge to maximum people. So Gangaji is symbol of Seva, Gangaji is symbol of Nirahankar, Gangaji is symbol of Jnana, and all the three are beautifully connected. Gangaji is in the Jata. Jata is a symbol of Tapasya. Long Jata means no body identification and lost in deep meditation. One has not had time to cut and shave and trim and all that, and long Jata. In the Jata, Bhagwan has a moon. Gurudev gave a beautiful symbolism of the moon, that the moon is the moon of Chaturthi. It is a crescent moon. It is not half moon, it is not full moon. Different other deities have different aspects of moon, but Shivji has a crescent moon, and that is the Chaturthi Tithi. So Gurudev used to say that a man of realization comes to understand that I am not the mind, I am not the body, I am not the jiva, I am infinite consciousness. And so the person has gone beyond finitude. But to serve the society, he still needs a mind. And so that mind will be retained. Moon is a symbol of the mind. So the Jivan Mukta retains that mind, which is steeped in the fourth state of consciousness, which remembers all the time that I am divine and continues to serve the society. So the Jivan Mukta uses a mind. Jivan Mukta is not the mind. You and I think we are the mind and we don't know Shiva Tattva. But Shivji has the mind, has the moon. So Shivji in that sense is the Jivan Mukta who comes into the world, lives here, just like you and me, looks like us, but his mind is absorbed in the fourth state and gives that knowledge to everybody that you are divine, wakes them up. So that is the symbolism of the mind. He has a serpent. So serpent is, there are different symbolisms of a serpent. In one context, it is death. And one who is immortal, for him the serpent is not a source of fear. Who is beyond death is Mrityunjay Bhagwan. He has a serpent. And it is this serpent of Bhagwan Shiva, who is Vasuki, who is again a symbol of absolute selflessness. Right now Kumbh happened. And think about it. Would Amrit have come out if Vasuki was not there? And imagine what Vasuki is. Imagine being pulled from both sides and your belly is being rubbed against a mountain. Devatas are pulling you from one side, Danavas are pulling you from one side, and you are being rubbed around a mountain. It is absolute sacrifice to be stretched in all directions. But for what? He doesn't get anything out of it. It is Amrit which will help the Devatas. It is not anything that is he is going to get out of it. So a person who is absolutely selfless is timeless. Even in the world today, we remember those who have served selflessly. Shankaracharya ji and Gurudev always used to say that, Buddha didn't build a mansion for himself. Shankaracharya ji didn't set up any farmhouse for himself, or any of these great Mahatmas. They did not do anything for themselves. They did it all for the society. And the society has criticized them, condemned them. Some of them got crucified also. But they did it for the society. So that serpent represents again absolute selflessness. Blue neck is poison. Shivji took that halahal poison. And Shivji never asked a question that why should I take the poison? Devatas went to him, they said, Mahadev, you are alone capable of handling this halahal wish. Shivji just took it. And see the devatas. At the end of the entire thing, when Amrit rises, did they go to offer Shivji even one drop? They didn't offer. That is the world. That is how the world will be. Selfless people, many times, they will do out of selflessness because that is their nature. And that's why we say, Amrit पी के जो अमर हैं वो है देव, विष पीकर भी जो अमर है वो है महादेव. Blue neck is the symbol of compassion. And why did Bhagwan's neck turn blue? It could have turned green, it could have turned black. Why did it turn blue? Again, our Puja Gurudev used to say that blue, for the human eye, what is infinite will appear blue. Where there is no boundary, like the sky, it doesn't have a color, but it will appear blue to us. The ocean will not have any color, actually, the water is colorless, but it will appear blue to us. So, blue is the color of infinity. And so, when a person has that level of compassion, person has no body identification, that person lives in that state of infinity. So the neck has turned blue. And amidst all this, Shivji sits quietly absorbed in that absolute truth. Nature is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. So he is the deity of meditation. That's why the standard posture of Bhagawan Shiva is the meditative posture. And Shivji represents the means of quietening the mind as well as the goal, which is the Shiva Tattva. And hence, this is a beautiful form. And this form is specifically the first temple that Puja Gurudev set up is the Jagdishwar Mandir at Powai in Mumbai. And this is the most beautiful form of Bhagwan Jagdishwara, the Lord of the whole universe. And his body has bhasma everywhere. And that is the bhasma which is taken from the cremation ground. It is not the scented vibhuti that you and I generally apply. It is the bhasma taken from the cremation ground. And Bhagwan applies it on his forehead, on his body, everywhere. Symbolically, that this body also is that bhasma only. It came from bhasma, it will become bhasma. And when bhasma is applied, it is a symbolism that all attachments are burnt away. Fire will burn away everything that is offered in it. So in that fire of knowledge, Jnanagni Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. One who is, beyond all three karmas, Sanchit, Agami and Prarabdha karma, that Jnanagni has burnt all body identification, Jiva Bhav, everything. That Bhasma is called Vibhuti. So Bhasma is that which has been burnt, destroyed. What has been destroyed? Body identification. When body identification is gone and you apply it, it is not only Bhasma, it is called Vibhuti, which means Vishesha Bhavanam. It's a special way of being. And what is that special way of being? You still have a body, but you are not the body. You have a mind, but you are not the mind. That awareness is the special way of being, and then you see everyone as that. So Shivji applies Bhasma. He wears Rudraksha. That is the tears of Shivji are Rudraksha. Ananda Tandava, when he is doing, the tears that flow from his eyes, that has become Rudraksha. And literally, Rudraksha also means the eye of Bhagawan Shiva.
Okay,
Aksha
yes,
means
of course,
eye.
yeah.
So when you wear a Rudraksha, it means Shivji is watching you. Eyes of Shivji are on you. Walk the path of Dharma. So these are all beautiful aspects of Shivji's form.
The beautiful reality of Shivji is that even though we see a form, exactly as you said, it takes us towards the formless. And any reflection on each of these attributes is so expansive of the mind that somewhere I feel that I should just bask in this answer for some time. But of course, we are in this question and answer format, so I have to move on and ask the next question. Swamiji, we've had such a wonderful conversation on the form of Bhagwan Shiv as well as the formless aspect of Shiva Tattva. And I wanted to bring again a slightly crass question that Hindus keep getting asked. Is the Shivalingam a phallic symbol? And it's almost so crass a question that I feel embarrassed to answer that question. But I know that we have to answer it. So what is a suitable answer to this question?
So we have to understand that as Hindus, when we know the significance of certain symbols that we have, then we don't have to be apologetic about anything. Yes, Shiva Purana definitely mentions that the linga is a phallic symbol, but it is not the way in which you and I understand. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda always said that Puranic literature is a mystical literature. And if you study the Puranas after you have had a foundation of Vedant, then you will see the Vedantic principles being depicted there very beautifully by Bhagwan. And so in the Gita, we have a beautiful shloka, two shlokas in fact, in the 14th chapter of the Gita, where Bhagwan says that Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadhamyaham, where he says that Prakriti is the Yoni and I impregnate that Prakriti. Aham Bija Pradapita, Bhagwan says, I am the father who impregnates that Prakriti. Now, if we don't have the clarity on this, we will think that it is some physical act of impregnation. And then we think that Shivalinga is a union of the yoni of the feminine and the phallic symbol of the masculine. But it is not that. Every creation, if you see the whole creation, you will see only two aspects. One is inert matter, other is consciousness. Inert is that which doesn't know itself and doesn't know anything around it. That's why it is called inert. And consciousness is that which knows itself and knows things around it. Swayam bhati anyan bhasayati sadhanam vina. That is the definition of consciousness. That which is aware of itself, because its nature is awareness, and which is aware of everything else, and which illumines and enlivens everything without any other medium. So, consciousness and matter coming together, only then creation is possible. Only matter will not even exist. Consciousness alone is infinite. In that there is no name, form, attributes, time, space, nothing. So there is no creation. And hence when both these come together, then there is Srishti. So Shivalinga is the symbol of Purusha and Prakriti. Now again, when we say Purusha, we think Purusha is man, Prakriti is, the woman. It is not like that. Both Purusha and Prakriti are beyond gender. Purusha is consciousness which is beyond gender. Prakriti is the power of this Purusha. That's why Bhagwan says, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Mama Yoni, it is my power. And so the Shivalinga is a symbol of this union of Purusha and Prakriti. And Puja Gurudev used to give a beautiful, simple example that this light is there. How does this light come? Only electricity will not give light. Only the bulb cannot give light. Electricity enlivens this bulb, then there is light. Same way, inert matter enlivened by consciousness, then there is whole srishti that will happen. And which is why today, see, traditional physics will say matter is the basis of the whole srishti. But quantum physics says no, consciousness is the basis of the whole srishti. Because that physics also has evolved to come to understand that there is consciousness. And which is why in CERN, in Switzerland, where this atomic research, etc., happens, and Higgs boson particle, etc., was discovered, and that that collider which is there, hadron collider which is there. Outside CERN, just as you enter, there is a murti of Nataraja which is there. Because for them, Nataraja is that infinite consciousness which is in every single particle. That is the power of Shiva which is enlivening the whole Srishti. So Shivalinga for us is that it will make us realize that, every Srishti, every single creation is a combination of Purusha and Prakriti. So there is Purusha and Prakriti in me. But I am not the Prakriti, I am that Purusha. I am that Shiva Tattva. And that is why the Shivalinga, we may say it is a phallic symbol. Yes, it is a phallic symbol. In the Shiva Purana, it is mentioned. And there is a whole story about how this phallus of Shivji falls and then It is very, very powerful and nobody is able to control its power. And then the yoni is required to fix it. Now, that is a mystical depiction of this fact that Purusha and Prakriti have to come together, then only Srishti can happen. And that's why in every place you will have Shivalinga. As I said earlier, Shivalinga is elliptical. By itself, it has no yoni.
Yes.
It is infinite. And it will not be possible to realize that truth unless there is a yoni and the pitha and the pratishtha is done there. So that's the beauty of this. So we have to go back to Vedanta. We have to go back to what the vision behind it is. And the vision is from the gross. The vision is lifted to the subtle and the subtlest. So even if you say the grossest act of mating is converted into the subtlest act of surrender to the divine and going beyond body identification. Because when a person sees that Shivalinga, the person is reminded of Shiva, of Parvati, of Purusha, of Prakriti, and then to realize that in me, who is Shiva and what is Prakriti. Today I think I am the Prakriti, but I am not. That is what Shivalinga is meant for. So it is not at all to bring down the sublime to the gross. And we don't have to be apologetic as Hindus at all. Let people lift their vision to understand what the Puranas are saying and not bring down the Puranic significance to some of the grossest expressions, and we don't have to be embarrassed at all.
And Swamiji, this theme of, being embarrassed or being apologetic is one that comes up again and again in conversations with Hindus. I think one of the depictions of Hindus is that we are very passive, like Shivji, we are in meditation on the self rather than being engaged in the world and bringing forth our ideas with, a degree of rigor and I wouldn't say force, but certainly a degree of rigor and presence. What from Shivji's form or from the Shiva Mahapurana, what inspiration can we take to bring this message forth with dynamism and presence into the world today?
Detachment and dynamism go together. People think that detachment and escapism go together, detachment and passivity go together, but it is not so. Look at the greatest masters. Absolutely detached, yet full of compassion, and did they serve the society or not? Was Vivekananda passive? Was Bhagwan Krishna passive? Was Ananda Mahima passive? Today Amritananda Mahima is doing so much of seva. Anchored in detachment, yet doing everything. Why? Because when I don't want anything for myself, I will do everything for others because I see only oneness. A mother who is detached from the child, full of love for the child, will do everything for the child. The moment I comes into play, that is where ego comes into play. Then sometimes laziness, selfishness, all that will come. But dynamism and detachment, they will go hand in hand, and they should go hand in hand. Where there is tremendous dynamism, but there is attachment, that will bring sorrow. That today the cause of the stress and mental health issues in the world is that. Because we don't know detachment. We know only attachment, and we have hooked on our mental idea of the self-esteem. This type of clothes, that brand of shoes, that brand of car, this brand of phone, this brand of this elite society. Now I'm so attached to all this, then I will be happy. But Shiva says, with or without this, I am happy. And yet, don't we see in Shivji, what more dynamism can be there than dance? He is the Lord of dance, more than 108 postures of Shivji. What more dynamism is required than language, than music, than the entire science of Yoga Shastra, where it is not only sitting quietly and doing meditation, there are so many other yogic kriyas by which you can energize the body to do more. And is Shivji not a grahasthi? He has his wife, he has 2 children. Those children also have wives and children. Has he not done what he needs to do? Has he run away from his home? Is he only sitting in meditation full time? He is sitting in meditation, no doubt. But that is a symbolism for us. You anchor within and be dynamic outside. So peace inside, dynamism outside. That is Shiva. And so the Hindus, if they are passive, that's again because we are misunderstanding what is detachment. The greatest masters have taught us detachment and dynamism will go together. Janak Maharaj was such a successful person, very dynamic. Ambrish Raja, very dynamic. So many great kings. Prithu Raja, dynamic. Bhagwan Ram himself, 11,000 years he ruled. So, Hindus have to understand their scriptures better, and if peace is required in this world, the only method is detachment. There is no other method to peace. The Gita says very clearly, Tyagat Shantihi Anantaram. You do Tyaga, and Tyaga of what? Tyaga of insistence, Tyaga of resistance. If you do Tyaga of this, and Shivji has dropped both. So Shivji is detached, dynamic, peaceful, successful, symbol of fulfillment.
And connect with Shivji, detachment and dynamism come into our lives.
They will come. Shivji won't make you sit quietly. Every single person who has realized Shiva Tattva has given it out to the world, including such a great master like Ramana Maharshi, whom we think he sat very quietly, but did he not inspire countless people just by being there? Is that not dynamism? To make people move from the body level to realize the absolute Tattva. And he himself used to do, Ramana Maharshi used to do parikrama of the great mountain Arunachala, which is Shivalinga itself. And he stayed at the base of Arunachala, absorbed in the self, doing who am I inquiry. But till today, countless people are inspired or not. So Shivji looks quiet, but he is very mischievous. He will not let you sit quietly. In the sense that you will be dynamic. And dynamism doesn't mean only running around and doing. Just by being peaceful, you are dynamic. Look at that tattva.
He will shake us out of our ignorance.
Completely.
And Swamiji, one of the we spoke about creation, and you said at the start of the podcast that Bhagwan's functions are Srishti, Sthiti, Lay, Tirodhana, and Anugraha. Now, Srishti, Sthiti, Lay, these are the functions that we know very well, and we usually embody them as Brahma, Vishnuji, and Shivji. So there is this question that constantly comes up: who is superior, Vishnuji or Shivji?
None of them are superior. The Skanda Puran very clearly says, Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shiva Rupaya Vishnave. Shivasya Hridayam Vishnu Vishnosya Hridayam Shivaha. They both are one, appearing as as two different, Shiva and Vishnu. But they both are one only. In fact, one who sees difference between both of them has a faulty vision. There is one truth. So Gurudev always gave this beautiful example. He used to say that when a person is a police officer, he wears his uniform and he goes and he does his duty, and crowd, he has to control and he set up law and order and everything. But when he comes home, he removes his uniform, he wears his homely clothes, then he is a father to his child, he is a husband to his wife. He is one person. If you say policeman is different, husband is different, father is different, who is better? It is one only appearing as three. Same way, one truth appears as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and that's why we should not distinguish at all. Meaning we should not think of them as separate. And this question of who is superior is again a wrong question. First of all, there is no duality, so there is no question of two, there is only one. Second, for the bhakta, what is important is the form that I am worshipping is the supreme form. When I know that, then surrender will happen. So in Shiv Puran, Shivji will be the supreme. Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Bhagwan will be the supreme. Devi Bhagavatam, Devi will be supreme. Ganesh Puran, Ganesh is supreme. Every single deity who has a particular form, that Purana which will be there, it will glorify that form, because for that devotee, the bhav is that infinite is appearing in this form and this is the supreme. So my complete surrender happens to that form. And so we should not even ask who is superior to the other, because all are supreme, because they are one. That's what the Puranas, they tell us. So you have the bhav of Sharanagati towards whichever form you are worshipping, and know that that is the supreme form. Also, the psychological reason behind it is form is used for us to make the mind quiet. Whatever I need, if it is the supreme form, I will get everything from that form. I want health, Bhagwan will bless me. I want wealth, I want progeny, I want fame, I want freedom from problems, disease, everything that form is capable of giving. So I don't have to go anywhere else. Like even Tulsidas ji says in Hanuman Chalisa, na, aur devata chittana dharai hanumat sei sarva sukha karai. Now there Hanuman ji is the supreme. So the point is, if I have that bhavana, then I don't have to worship Shivji for peace, Lakshmi Devi for wealth, and Dhanvantari for health. I don't have to do that. Every single thing will come to me from Ishvara, who is this form of, which is my dearest form. So all are one. That's what we have to understand.
And this expression of oneness we see regularly in different parts of India during the Maha celebration, the Mahakumbh. Swamiji, you have been to many Kumbh Melas, including the most recent one at Prayagraj. Can you tell us a little bit, not just about the Kumbh Mela, but as an attendee, as a seeker, your experiences within the Kumbh Mela?
See, Kumbh literally is a pot, and Kumbh also is like our head. Our head is an inverted pot. As long as the pot is inverted, it cannot receive water. When the pot turns upside down, when the pot actually turns up, then it will receive all water. So our head also, as long as our mind is extroverted, we don't experience Amrit. The moment we turn it towards Bhagavan, we experience Amrit. So Kumbh is a symbol. Kumbh Mela is also a Mela of all such great Mahatmas, Bhaktas who have experienced Amrit in their life. Literally a sannyasi also is called Kumbh. And that's why Purna Kumbha is that with which a sannyasi is welcomed. So Kumbha earlier was all collection of so many such sadhus, Mahatmas, gurus. And when we go to Kumbh, the idea is to experience that Amritattva Purnatam. Each of us, so Kumbh is not an event, Kumbh is a yatra. And each of us are on the yatra of Purnatvam. Kumbha is the culmination of that, where you have done sadhana. For some it will be culmination, for some it will be a beginning, where you meet your guru, you meet some Mahatmas and start your sadhana, and then you do the sadhana for 12 years and again go and meet your guru next time. By the time it is said that the traditional sadhus will say, 12 saal mein sadhu ko siddha ho jana chahiye. They give 12 years for a person to be perfected. If the person has that yogyata, does that sadhana, Kumbh will bring that fulfillment. So my experience of the Kumbh was this, that when we go to Kumbh, we go with great Shraddha, especially Tirthraj Prayag. It is said all the 33 Koti Tirthas, there are 33 crore Tirthas in Bharat. They all come to Prayagraj during the Kumbh Yoga. They take a dip there, especially that Mauni Amavasya day, because the entire constellation of Jupiter in the Vrish Rashi, Sun in the Makar Rashi and Moon in the Makar Rashi will be exactly matching on Mauni Amavasya day, because Moon will be in Makar Rashi only for 2.5 days. So on that day, one does the snan there. And the bhavana is that I drop the body identification. I go beyond the mind. And that's why Mauni Amavasya. The Amavasya is the day where you don't see the moon. So you go beyond the mind. So it was an indescribable experience to go and do the snan there. And with all the knowledge that Gurudev has given to us, so much of gratitude that if this knowledge was not there, this snan would not be that beneficial. And then to see that faith of so many countless devotees who have come there, what all difficulties they go through, but their Shraddha. One 90-year-old plus lady has come there from the time of independence to now. She has attended all Kumbhs. And this person asked her, the reporter asked, कि माई आप क्यों आई हैं यहाँ पे? Her answer was so simple. She said, Ganga Mai ka darshan karne aayi hu main. Look at that Shraddha that she has. And they come with just some slippers. They bring their blanket. They bring their whole thing on their head. Meet such devotees. Devotion we can get only when we meet bhaktas. And when you do seva of these bhaktas. Bhagwan runs behind such bhaktas who are Ananya bhaktas, and that dust of their feet, Bhagwan says, I want the dust of that feet of the bhakta. Kumbh is an occasion to meet so many bhaktas and see their bhakti. So many people, I met some Kalpavasis there. They stay there for a month from Magh Purnima, from Paush Purnima to Magh Purnima. They will stay 1 full month. They will take bath every day in the Ganga. They will eat once a day. They will cook their own food, eat once a day. They will sleep on the ground. They will do a certain number of Ishta Mantra Japa. They will do satsangs. And 1 full month like that, they will stay there. They are called Kalpavasis.
Okay.
And this they have to do for 12 years. When they do this for 12 years, every month, every year, Magh Mela happens in
correct.
Prayagraj. 12 years they will do this, and the Shastra says that when they do this for 12 years, they get the punya of 1 kalpa, which is 1000 Chaturyugis of Brahmaji. The sadhana done for 1000 Chaturyugis of Brahmaji, they get in 12 years' time. Kumbh is an opportunity to meet such devotees also who are completing, some of them are completing their sadhana. Meet such bhaktas, even few moments we spend with them, their vibration, their power, their sadhana will rub off on us. Then, of course, I met various Mahatmas there, had satsangs with them, did japa, did sadhana, did anushthan, did havan. Because that entire place, the energy is very, very high. Any single sankalpa you have in that place will multiply like anything. And I have experienced it. Whatever I wanted to do in Kumbh, which I am thinking from here, Bhagwan made every single thing happen there, then and there. And whatever we want to happen in our life, we can see that amplification having come back from Kumbh here. So Kumbh is an indescribable experience. My only suggestion to people is don't go there only for snan. Take some more time. Take minimum 3 days, go there. Initially, if suppose somebody has gone only for snan, no problem. Again Kumbh will come. Take more time. Go there. Do these sadhanas. Sit on the banks of Gangaji after snan and do the japa. Experiences out of the world. Do meditation. Do the havan. Meet the Mahatmas. One of the people had taken a sankalpa that this person, the sadhak had taken a sankalpa that I will not buy food and eat in Kumbh. There are options for one to buy. One can eat lots of stalls there. She said, I will not. I will eat only Bhandara ka food.
Okay.
Are eating food in Bhandaras there. How much seva is happening in Kumbh. Then you stand in the line there. You take the Bhandara ka food. You wish well for the people who are doing this. It's a different feeling. Ahankar will go. Because you are standing there. You are asking, give me this food. And you see the seva that number of people do there. It's just stunning. Kumbh is absolutely unbelievable for bhakti, for jnana, for seva, for sharanagati. You see the entire gamut of Hindu organizations, and so many Mahatmas are doing so much of work in such remote areas, you don't even know their name, but they all are working for Sanatana Dharma. And you see their following also sometimes. It is stunning that how many people they are able to reach out to. You go into any of the akhadas, any of the places where satsang is happening, you sit there, you listen to Bhagwan Naam going on, Katha, and everybody is singing the glories in their own way. Absolutely, I won't say anything else in the world can compare to the experience of Kumbh. Nothing. There's nothing in this world that exists which will compare to the glory of the Kumbh. And only way to do it, experience it, is you be there.
And the wonderful aspect of Kumbh is that it culminates in the great night of worship and remembrance of Bhagawan Shiv, is Mahashivratri. So Swamiji, can you tell us a little bit about Mahashivratri?
So Shivaratri happens every month. So that 12 Shivaratris. This one is called as Mahashivratri. Because that is the day where Shivji and Mother Parvati marry. Some people say that, okay, Bhagavan Shivji manifested as a column of light on that day. But that happens earlier. Ardra Nakshatra, when it is there, in the Kartik month. It will come sometime in December, January, that
Okay.
time. But Bhagwan Shiva actually manifests that time. Shivaratri is the um, marriage of
Okay.
Shivji and Parvati ji. And so it is a symbol of Jiva uniting with Ishvara. And we know that Sati immolated herself and then she was born as Mother Parvati and then
Yes.
she did intense tapasya to marry Bhagwan Shiva. So Shivji and Mother Parvati marrying is the Jiva uniting with Shiva, and that is the great night
Okay.
of Shivaratri. And we worship Bhagwan Shiva and Mother Parvati that night, and that's why Shivalinga Upasana is done that day. From evening 6 p.m. to morning 6 a.m. is actually the Shivaratri. The whole day one does the fasting in preparation for the worship. So Upvas is the first sadhana to be done for Shivaratri. Then there is the Nam Samaran of Bhagwan through the day, because Upvas literally means to stay close to Bhagwan. It is not just physical abstinence from food. When we do Upvas, the pranic energy will go upwards. Otherwise, the prana is going downwards for digesting. When I am not eating food, then the pranic energy will move upwards. And that helps a lot in dhyan. So, Upvas has to be done, Nam Smaran has to be done. And in fact, Gurudev used to not even take medicine on that day. You know, he had diabetes and he had to take insulin shots and other BP medicines and all that. Shivaratri day, he will not take. And he would say, Shiva doesn't need medicine. Today is the day for Shiva. And he would go down in his kutia, there is, in his bedroom below, there's a meditation room. He would go and sit there. And he would tell people, don't touch me today. When he comes out in the evening for the arati, people have walked behind him. He will be glowing, absolutely glowing, tejas, tapas, everything. People have walked behind him, little distance away. They have walked behind him where he has kept his foot. There they put their feet, they will burn literally. Because he will be fire that day. Intense meditation he will do. So evening is when the Yama Puja will start. So 6 p.m., 9 p.m., 12 midnight, 3 p.m., like that, Yama Puja will be done. So Shivalinga Upasana will happen on that day. We worship Bhagawan Shiva, Rudrabhishek will be done, Bilva Patra will be offered. And many places they will also celebrate. So even in our Jagdishwar Mandir, it happens after 12 in the Mandir. And many places in the north, etc. also I have been during Shivratri and I see they will enact the entire Shiva Vivah. So Shivji's Bharat will come with Bhutaganas and all of them. And in fact, you know, the Naga sadhus are a part of Shivji's Bharat.
Yeah.
And so they decorate themselves also. There are 17 Shringars that the Naga sadhus do. All for Shivji.
17. Okay.
17 Shringars they will do. So we think Naga sadhus, you know, so they are only naked and Digambar.
Yeah.
No, they are, but they will decorate themselves. For whom? For Shiva. So that day we celebrate the wedding of Mother Shiva and Parvati also, and keep awake the whole night in the remembrance of the Lord. Because the bhavana is this, that one who keeps awake the whole night, remembering Bhagwan Shiva, meditating, will attain mukti. So that's the significance of Mahashivratri day, is union of Shiva and Jiva and Shiva.
And when we think of Shiva sadhana, the one mantra that always comes to our mind is Om Namah Shivaya. So, is this an appropriate mantra to chant on Mahashivratri? Is there anything that you can tell us about this mantra?
Is the most powerful mantra. You know, very beautiful analogy is given. Bhagwan is Veda Purusha. Yajurveda is the head of Bhagwan. In Yajurveda is the Rudram portion. Rudram portion is the face of Bhagwan. In Rudram, Namah Shivaya mantra will come. Which is Panchakshari mantra. When you add Om, then it becomes Shadakshari. Otherwise, Namah Shivaya will come. Namah Shivaya are the eyes of Bhagwan. And Shiva is the center of that Namah Shivaya. That is the apple of the eye. And so, the most powerful mantra of Shivji is Namah Shivaya. This Namah Shivaya also is Vedantically a Mahavakya, which will tell us the oneness of the Jiva with Ishvara. Namaha represents the Jiva surrender. Shiva represents the infinite consciousness. And Aya is indicating the oneness. So Namah Shivaya is actually a Mahavakya. So just like Tattvamasi, Aham
Yes.
Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvameva, Tvameva Tat, like that countless Mahavakyas in the Upanishadic literature. Like that Namah Shivaya is a Mahavakya. So every time I'm chanting Om Namah Shivaya, I'm actually saying I am one with consciousness. It is not only from Bhakti standpoint that my salutations to Lord Shiva, but it is actually saying that I and Shiva are one. And Namah Shivaya also is the mantra which represents the 5 faces of Bhagawan Shiva. So Ishana, Tatpurusha, Aghora, Vamadeva, and Sadyojata. So Namah Shivaya, one face represents one alphabet. And because of this, they are also symbolic of the 5 krityas.
Okay.
Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana and Anugraha. And that same Namah Shivaya is connected to 5 elements. And so we have Panchabhuta Lingas in our country of Shivji, especially Tamil Nadu and Andhra. So the Prithvi Linga, Jyotirlinga, Prithvi Linga, Agni Linga, Vayu Linga, Uplinga and Akash Linga. Akash Linga is Chidambaram. Then Vayu Linga is Srikalahasti. Then the Uplinga means water. Water Linga is Jambukeshwar. Then Agni Linga is Tiruvannamalai. And Prithvi Linga is Ekambareshwar in Kanchipuram. So the Namah Shivaya mantra also has the corresponding depiction that 5 elements, the whole Srishti is made up of 5 elements. And who is this 5 elements? Shiva is the 5 elements. Shiva is the consciousness, Shiva is the 5 elements. And so when I chant Namah Shivaya, all these significances are there. And actually the Shiva Puran says countless is the significance of Namah Shivaya. It will go on giving many significances. Anybody who is chanting Namah Shivaya is chanting Bhagwan's name, is invoking infinity, is seeing oneness everywhere. And their sins will get destroyed, they will attain punya, they will attain finally oneness with Shiva Tattva also. So one should definitely do Upasana using Om Namah Shivaya. And it doesn't even require, the most common mantra associated with the Rudrakshas is Namah Shivaya.
Yes.
Because every Rudraksha has a particular mantra. The most common Rudraksha is the Panchamukhi Rudraksha.
Correct.
And the mantra associated with that is Namah Shivaya. So that's the beauty of Namah Shivaya. And Shiva Puran one should read actually. It has so many significances.
Swamiji, does one need initiation from the Guru to chant Om Namah Shivaya?
Any mantra, ideally, if it is taken from a guru who has himself or herself made that mantra siddha, it will activate faster for us. No doubt.
But one can just, if they pick it up.
If one doesn't have a guru yet, no problem. One can start doing the japa. Shivji is Guru Swarup. Shivji will ensure that the guru will come. Gurudev always used to say that if nothing, he has to come in the form of a guru and he will initiate you.
And Swamiji, on the subject of Guru, if you can tell, I mean, you already told us such beautiful glimpses from the presence, I wouldn't say life, the presence of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. Can you, for those who might not know about Puja Gurudev, can you tell us a little bit about who he is?
So Puja Gurudev, he was a freedom fighter. He was in his childhood, Ishtadevta of Shivji, Ishtadevta of Gurudev also is Shivji. And he used to do japa of Om Namah Shivaya. And he used to play hide and seek with Lord Shiva. When long pujas are happening in his home, Lalita Sahasranam, Vishnu Sahasranam, 2 hours puja. And the rule in their house is no puja, then no dinner. You must be sitting for the puja, then you will get dinner. So as a child, playtime is being sacrificed and one is sitting there. So he developed a game with Shiva. He used to see the form of Shiva called as Chandra-Kaladhara. And he would close his eyes, visualize the form and keep the form in his mind. And the moment the form goes away, he'll open his eyes, again see, again close his eyes, again visualize. And he would chant Om Namah Shivaya. In fact, his sister sometimes used to get very difficult dreams and she would wake up with a shock. At that time, when he did not even have any great spiritual initiation or anything like that, he used to tell her that you take this mala, you chant Namah Shivaya and keep the mala below your pillow and your dreams will stop. His connection with Shiva is very deep, very powerful. So from childhood, he had that samskar. In his youth, he became an agnostic. And interesting thing is, even through his agnostic phase, where he questioned the existence of God, he was a freedom fighter, revolutionary freedom fighter. And he took that stand because he understood very clearly non-violence is not going to lead us to freedom. And imagine his conviction to go against the whole flow when everybody is going into non-violence and the revolutionaries are being branded as, even some of them are branded as traitors.
Traitors, yes.
He joined HSRA, Hindustan Socialist Republic Army Association, which was founded by Bhagat Singh earlier. And he became a member of that, became a revolutionary, did many things as a powerful student leader, fought for the freedom of our country, got jailed, was on the verge of his death. In the jail, he came across a magazine called My Magazine.
Okay.
And there, Swami Shivananda's articles were there. And Gurudev, as a journalist, he thought, I will expose the bluff of the sadhus. See, the name of his guru also is Shivananda only.
Yes.
So he finished, when he was thrown out, he was on the verge of dying. And a Christian lady actually takes him home and nurses him back to health. Why? Because it reminded his nose, Gurudev used to joke, that my nose reminded her of her son. And so she nursed him back. And there he thought that India will definitely get free. It's a matter of time. But Indians will not get free. So he started going to Divine Life Society to expose the bluff of the sadhus. And very soon Swami Shivananda's life, his service, his knowledge, his selflessness transformed Gurudev, and he wanted to take sannyas. Shivanandaji told him, go on a Char Dham Yatra and see whether you are able to sustain. So by foot he has to go, not like today we go in helicopter, do darshan, come back. By foot he went, met so many Mahatmas, understood what is Vedant, what is the Vedantic way of living, what is a sadhu's life, what is renunciation. He was doubly convinced. And he ended his Char Dham Yatra in Badrinath, where he stayed for 2 months and he did Anushthan of Om Namah Shivaya mantra, which is called Puras Charan. So he did Puras Charan of Om Namah Shivaya mantra. 6 lakh times he did the japa, 100 malas a day. And at the end of it, he decided this is the path I have to take. So Shivji has played a role in his life silently everywhere. And so at the end of it, he comes. And on Shivaratri day, he is initiated into sannyas, 25th February 1949. In fact, last year was his 75th sannyas anniversary. So he got initiated on Shivaratri day, and then he spent 42 years of his life bringing this knowledge, inspired by Mother Ganga. He studied under Tapon Maharaj. So Shivanandaji is his Diksha Guru, Tapon Maharaj is Shiksha Guru. And he came down, just like Mother Ganga flows, he also came down from the Himalayas, shared this knowledge with everybody across the world. He has gone to so many places. That missionary zeal that he has, again, Shivji inspired, and if it was not for him, today Gita would not be as popular as it is. 42 years of his life he dedicated to bring the knowledge of the Gita to the common man, to the boardrooms of the corporates, to the stock market, to the colleges of the youth, to every single aspect. He used to go and address the army. Every different strata of society he brought this knowledge to, and that's how Gurudev lived his life, giving us the motto, maximum happiness to maximum people for maximum time. So a great freedom fighter, a great revolutionary, a great devotee of Bhagwan, missionary, guru, so many things Gurudev is.
Swamiji, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and I don't want it to stop. But time is a limiting factor. I wanted to ask one final question before we close today's conversation. which is that Bharat is the world's most youthful country. We have the maximum number of youth in the world. And as you said, dynamism and detachment go hand in hand. So, what is a message that we can take from Bhagawan Shiv or from Puja Gurudev? And actually, as you have explained, there is no real distinction between the two. So, what is the message that we can take from Bhagawan Shiv to the youth, especially of Bharat?
If you reverse the word Shiva, you will get Vashi.
Vashi, okay.
I would say the youth must focus on becoming Vashi to realize Shiva. Vashi means one who has self mastery.
Yeah.
We must master our body, mind, and intellect. They are our tools. We are not the body, mind, intellect, but they are our tools. The entire Yoga Shastra is to align this body, mind, and intellect. And Brahma Vidya is to realize our true nature. So Puja Gurudev gave us both Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. And that's what Shivji also did. He is the Shiva Tattva, which is Brahman, which is Brahma Vidya. And he gave the entire science of yoga. So we must master our body, mind, intellect. We should not be their slaves. We should not be their victims. And for that, I always give the formula of T20.
Okay.
20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of study. I learned this from my teacher, and that's what if each of us can apply. 20 minutes daily of some form of exercise which will keep the body fit and flexible and increase the stamina. 20 minutes of meditation, any technique which will make the mind completely silent. Because that silence is what will create innovativeness, dynamism, creativity, everything. Energy comes from silence. Speech, Gurudev used to say that words of power come from a mind which is silent. So, 20 minutes of meditation to keep the mind quiet and 20 minutes of study of our scriptural literature. If somebody is not well versed with it and they want to study self-help books, yes, start with them, not a problem. But as soon as you can, come to study Vedant, come to study our Hindu scriptural literature is most fantastic. The depth in which they have gone, it is unfathomable. So if I spend 60 minutes a day, I will become Vashi. I will become a master of my equipment. And with that, I can achieve everything in the world. Success, name, fame, prosperity, everything can be achieved with that because I am anchored. So many mental health challenges and illnesses and depression and drugs, alcohol. I don't need to fall for any of these. I need none of this. All I need is Shiva. If I have Shiva with me, I will be Vashi. If I am Vashi, I will have Shiva with me.
Oh.
That's all I have to do in my life. Become a Vashi to realize Shiva. If that one message people have, that's it. And Shiva doesn't mean only form. Shiva is Paramananda Swarup. Shiva is our Atma. Shiva is infinite consciousness. If that I realize, fulfillment is my goal, Vashi is the way. And that's why Gurudev said, through individual transformation alone, world transformation is possible. And Bharat has given this message to the whole world. And so, if as Bharatiyas, each of us are able to live in this way, Bharat literally means one, the land where people revel in light. Each of us is a light. And each of us, when we awaken to the truth, that is the way to make Bharat also glorious. That is the way to make the whole world also more peaceful and happy. So that's the message I want.
Swamiji, such a wonderful and uplifting message. And it ties into the theme of enlightenment to bring this light, to firstly realize it in our heart and then to bring it to the world. Swamiji, I cannot express my gratitude enough for this wonderful satsang that you have given us on, I wouldn't even say the topic, but on the presence of Bhagawan Shiv, covering the Shiva Mahapuran, Mahashivratri, Kumbh Mela, the presence of Guru, Om Namah Shivaya mantra. I'm sure every viewer who has watched this will come back over and over again. I'm sure they will share it. And I hope this becomes the start or the strengthening of a transformative journey in their lives. But on everyone's behalf, I wanted to express my very keen gratitude and thanks for taking your time and sharing these wonderful messages. Hari Om,
Thank you,
Swamiji.
Om. It was very nice to have you. And many people do podcasts, but to do a podcast with someone who is absorbed in spiritual practices, who has the Shraddha for Sanatana Dharma, who is living that, and such beautiful ways in which you are sharing this knowledge through your talks, podcasts, your YouTube channel. Um, is very uplifting and inspiring to have conversation in that sense, where it is not just a question and answer that is happening, but an exchange of ideas and learning from each other. So wonderful to have you conduct this podcast, and your association with the Chinmay mission also has been quite a long journey, and we have known each other for quite some time. So I'm very glad that we are doing this. And as you said, yes, we will hopefully make this as a starting point and a strengthening aspect to reach the knowledge of the scriptures to maximum people.
Well, yes, wonderful, Swamiji. There you have it. Swamiji's words that we can bring into our lives. So if you found today's conversation inspiring, enlightening, do share it with others. Make sure that this wonderful message reaches as many people as possible, especially in time for Mahashivratri, which is a true day and especially night for transformation. Especially in time for Mahashivratri, which is a night of inner transformation. If you enjoyed this podcast, then do leave a message. I'm sure Swamiji is reading the comments. Please request him to come back again and again so that we can make this a regular series and bring the wisdom of Sanatana Vedic Dharma to as many people as possible. Thank you once again for joining. We hope to see you again very soon. Namaste.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hri Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hri Om. Bolo Namah Parvati Pataye. Har Har Mahadev.